Hello everyone, Dan 14th Prime here. I want to do a share out today with three guys with the Hot Toys Captain America. This is the Civil War concept art exclusive version. Check it out from Sideshow. Link in the description below if you're interested in picking the figure up. I do recommend it. Beautiful, just black and white cap here. Very interesting in terms of, this exclusives, usually lightly redecoed, repainted. This figure gets a new body and new suit with new material, actually using a lot of the Infinity War technology coming out on that figure, just dropping now. So beautiful, beautiful cap. Again, inspired from Civil War. We'll get that figure out here and do a comparison because there's definitely some similarities, but a lot of differences as well. Just a really beautiful figure here. We'll let them spin one more time. If you're interested in these little discrete stands, check out my Amazon page, linked in the description below as well. And if you're interested in the packaging of this guy and the pack out and all of that, check me out on Instagram, same handle, Dan 14th Prime. All right, let's dive in a bit closer and check this guy out. Let's jump in nice and close. Check out this head sculpt. This is basically a reuse of the Civil War masked head sculpt with the interchangeable faceplate. So we get the nice scowling look. That's what I love about this. We don't get enough scowling looks from Hot Toys, but then you can kind of pull that down and plop in, tuck it behind the mask there. The more subdued, stoic look. So you get both those faceplates. You do not get a Chris Evans head sculpt. It's kind of the case with all of these concept pieces that they're doing, that they're not really emphasizing the talent. So they don't really emphasize Chris Evans here. The Iron Man one, they don't give you a Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark on masked head sculpt. And similar, I noticed recently on the Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, like comic concept. They're really silent on in terms of likeness of Gal. So I think these, they're more concept. Probably maybe it saves them some money. They don't have to maybe pay the talent a licensing fee either. Don't know. But for us as collectors, it just basically means, we're not getting that extra head sculpt with this cap, which is unfortunate because the Civil War one was pretty good too. If you had forgot, there's the Civil War on the right, so there's that Chris Evans head sculpt, which I think was pretty good. We'll bring this figure in and out over the course of the review to do some comparisons. One other thing I'll point out here is the skin complexion, or the skin tone, I should say. You can notice on the new figure, the concept, it's lighter. I always thought they did Chris Evans too tan in Civil War. He's more of a fair-haired, fair-complected kind of guy. I think they get that much better on the new figure. And also then, since we're up top here, height-wise, I'd call him about the same height. Interestingly, as I've seen reviews, and even to some extent when I have these figures in hands, I could have swore this new figure was maybe becoming a bit taller, but when I straighten the knees fully on both and shoulder width apart straight up, kind of chest sticking out, looks like they do come to the same height. And with the rest of the torso here, I think one thing they did really well is just the shape of the body. The torso, the shoulders, it looks more like an athletic build with cap now. It looks like more they've captured that Chris Evans, just mile-wide shoulders, smaller waist, super athletic build. I think they have that on this body and in this figure. That's a big, big improvement. The uniform is sweet, all black here. Really awesome concept. Probably seeing the fine details, little kind of, classic scale mail sort of effect in the details of the suit. So that's cool. You get the Avengers logo there. I think a really cool ab section, just the way that material is sort of crisscrossed, weaved through there. Nice belt there with the clean silver buckle, some pouches and things like that along the side. Still got the classic straps and things like that. They're just black as well. Really awesome looking. And here, if you compare that upper body shape to Civil War on the right, you see what I'm talking about. Just the pure athleticism that really pops through. I think it's a bit of a function of a body underneath, but then this new material is kind of like the rubber, pleather stuff, right? Which is always great for aesthetics and poor for articulation. And we'll find that to be the case again. Mainly on the legs, where it tends to be the issue. This cap, it still looks good, but just that whole shoulder, it looks kind of frumpy. It's kind of frumpy next to the new cap. Just kind of clunky through the chest and shoulders without the great shape that you've got on the left there. But downstairs, he keeps just a super clean black pants. I mean, they look really good. They don't have, knee pads or things like that, pockets, pouches that have sort of made them a bit clunkier on prior caps. I will say it almost the legs maybe look too skinny. He looks like he's an all upper body kind of workout, and the legs almost look a bit too thin. But there's some cool patterns in here to just break up the black, different sort of layers of texturing and stitching and panels and things that are really cool looking. When you come down to the boot here, you get like the two-piece with the the shin cover piece and then the separate articulated foot underneath. So if we compare it to Civil War here, like I mentioned, kind of like the pockets up here, the clunky knee pads down there, really does change the shape of the leg, but also tends to take some of the bulkiness out of it, and that's where the proportion makes him look sort of like a beach dude, big upper body, skinnier legs. These boot pieces, I mean, they look to be the same, just kind of more glossier and shinier on the concept version. We'll do a little bit of the profile here. I like what they've done with the helmet. The accenting with the silver there looks good. Still a lot of good detail in the helmet. The ear looks really good. The jaw strap. Coming to that shoulder, again, you really see the muscle coming through the deltoid. I've kind of pulled it to the back a bit just so you can kind of see the side of the torso, the belt, the pouches, things like that are in there. I do like how they worked the articulation here because of this rubber stuff tends to hurt articulation. It's kind of got like a vest piece over for the main torso, and the arms kind of go in underneath. So you do get pretty good articulation despite of the rubber suit around the shoulder area. And here I'll just give you down into the leg. This is where you can kind of see some of the, the skinniness really kind of pops from the profile too if you didn't notice it as much from the front. A bit lean maybe in the leg. It doesn't really have much of like a quad or butt or anything like that. We'll do a pan down the back here. You see the shoulders straps come through with the nice silver connector in the center of the back. You can see the shape here. Again, just back to that big back, big shoulders, athletic build. It looks really good from the back of the figure. Sometimes this material, after I've articulated the torso and stuff, gets a little just bunched up and clunky back there. So I find myself playing with that quite a bit from time to time. There's the no butt look that I mentioned. And we'll just pan down just so you can kind of see. Nothing too special back here, really. But we'll give you the full up and down. When you compare them to Civil War on the back, it's like no contest. Civil War has this big, just flap piece of material that comes through and just almost like a piece of armor. I mean, it takes all texture away from the back. I mean, they have it here too, actually. Not to defend Civil War too much. The same piece is here. It's cut differently, I would say. Definitely different material, so they've just made it fit a bit better. Creates a really rounded shoulder sort of look over here on the Civil War. Very clunky on the back. And you don't get that nice shoulder line into the deltoids. Now the strap connector looks the same. It sits a bit lower on the, well, it looks like it sits lower on the new figure, I should say, but I think that's probably a bit of effect of just the higher kind of trap section on the new figure. One thing I find odd is for the shield, we got this little plastic connector for this guy, and it hooks on onto this nice metal shield. We didn't get that for this cap over here. I have no idea why, because it's otherwise sort of has the same strap system and stuff in this shield. So let's see if it'll still work. Okay, so I popped off the strap, which is still impossible unless you have like really long fingernails to it's like real locking straps. I hate it. But popped it off, put this plastic piece on from Civil War, and let's just kind of sit that up there. So it does definitely still work. Why they don't give us that piece, I have no idea. I think, like I said, it sits a bit lower, but it definitely still works. You see even less of it, I would say. I think on the old figure, just because of the way the shoulders were and stuff, you would kind of see a bit around the top. Here, it's kind of turtle shell all the way in the back. But still, you can do different angles and things and have that show up when you have it on display. So I don't know why they didn't give us that plastic piece. It's been such an easy thing to throw in. Very strange. So while we're talking shields here, let's go ahead and compare the two. This is Civil War feels like a nice heavy metal shield. This one it must be plastic. It feels incredibly light. but painted beautifully and does the job. I don't mind the material difference, quite honestly. Though when you're going for like some of the shine here, I think definitely having metal base underneath probably helps get the sort of look you're going for. So ultimately, the material difference isn't a big deal to me. Would I maybe prefer metal here? Sure, but up on display, you can't really tell. And here inside, again, it's that same strap system, which nobody likes because you can't get your fingers in there, and they work like real clicking straps. So that's difficult. But otherwise, everything's the same in there, again, except for just that hook piece not coming with our new shield, which was strange. Then we get the wood shield, I guess. It kind of like looks like a wood shield that would have been painted, so it's cool. I think it was wood. I'm drawing it back to kind of when he was more of the army caricature guy before he got a real shield. But in any event, very well painted. Again, just all black and white. Nice sort of wear painted through that thing. All silver on the inside. I will say every time I pull a hand out on this guy, it's coming out on the inside versus the wrist peg. Been a bit of a recent problem with my Hot Toys, but that's kind of what that looks like. You had a black body underneath, actually. And sometimes you'll find this material slips up. So you can kind of pose this material and get it situated. Otherwise, you might find you've got a raised up black wrist, but that's kind of what you got there for your peg holes. So that's probably why it comes out a little more frequently. Otherwise, guys, here's for extras. We get basically the Civil War hands redone with a black glove, some gray tone on the inside. Better flesh tone, matches the face and is definitely lighter than Civil War. So fist here, actually a pair of those. Get a pointing hand, right hand there. This left hand, which has a bit of a soft grip, would probably be for handling the shield in some different way, like you might be throwing it or something. And then this hand here, which is kind of, face palm. And then I had on the figure the shield gripping hands, which is, a light grip to put a strap through, to hold your shields. And then finally, you just get this 10-year anniversary base. It's cool. Cap shield on there. Captain America concept art version on the plate. It's just a crotch grabber stand, so nothing special there. Let me tick through a bit of articulation for you. There's really just a couple points, as I mentioned before, and it comes through because of the suit. I think the whole neck situation is pretty good. He's got rotation at the base, and the head is on a ball peg basically up top. So I think he can look down good. He looks up pretty well. Some of this collar stuff, helmet gets in the way, but you can manage it. So you can get him up, cock the head. So I think it's all good up there. I mentioned the shoulders where you kind of have the separation from the vest piece here versus the underneath. This rubber stuff sometimes likes to bounce back, but you can manage that. And it might ride up. You kind of pull down the sleeves then and get your pose looking right. So it's all good there. Forward, there's light ratcheting in there as well. You can kind of feel it. You don't hear it so much, but you can feel it click. So that helps because, again, this rubber stuff likes to bounce back. But that's all good in there, too. Little bicep swivel up there. Elbow, pretty dang good. The usual hand stuff. His hands are off because I was showing you the shields. So upstairs, the articulation is good. He's got like a good ab crunch there, I think. More than others, that's for sure. And you can even kind of rock him side to side a bit. He's got some waist turn, stuff like that. And this is the thing you'll find is some of this just comes untucked kind of from his pants or whatever. So you'll find yourself going on back to kind of clean that up after you articulate the torso. But yeah, I think all the upstairs articulation is good. When you come downstairs, you get an okay amount of split. It's not great. There's a little crotch panel there, I think, that helps give you a little more than you would otherwise get with these types of pants. This is, of course, the problem, as it always is. He just cannot kick, really. See that? Just can't get his leg out. Just starts to tug right there against the butt, even though he doesn't really have one. And you like to really get that leg up. So it really starts to limit, he can't kneel or do things like that, which is a shame. The knee is fine. It's good. But again, a good knee doesn't do you much good if the hip is really restricted. The thigh is up there. And then we've mentioned separate ball peg, down in the ankle. It's 2 pieces. So it's really good everywhere except that hip becomes extreme limiter. See, you just can't try to get him to kneel or do something. It really limits the rest of what is otherwise good articulation. So there you have it, guys. Captain America's Civil War concept art version. I like the figure. It's a beautiful figure. Again, limited. I'm trying to get him in a nice kneel even here. And I can't get the crotch as wide as I'd like. So beautiful, but we'll be limited in what you can do with it on the shelf. Check the link in the description below. Highly recommend you picking this thing up if you're a Cap fan or even just a Hot Toys fan and you like great Hot Toys pieces. This is a great Hot Toys piece. That's really why it's in my collection right now. And I will say it's got me a bit thinking about the Iron Man concept art as well. Maybe if that thing ends up on deal, it'll be a beautiful pairing with this figure. On the good side, the deco is beautiful. They upgraded the body. They fixed the skin tone. The suit material is aesthetically more pleasing. There's more detail in it. It sits better on the figure. I mean, I just love the look of this black and white scheme. And it makes a beautiful silhouette with that body. On the downside, you don't get a lot for the money. No Chris Evans head sculpt. And then oddly, even that little shield accessory piece to hang on his back. I don't get why that's missing. But the 2 shields you do get look beautiful. And then really the only downside in the box on the figure becomes this restriction on leg articulation. You can just see it's just really even difficult to get a good lean back, a good leg spread. They probably need to start. I like the material choice. I like this material. I like how it looks. I like how it fits. They need to figure out how to make it more articulatable or not hinder articulation. Stretchy panels, versus just a panel here. Make it stretchy. Same on the butt. Put some kind of stretchy panels back there. I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll pull back or something, but there's got to be some way maybe you can kind of stretch it out and make it hold. But Hot Toys needs to work through that to get this type of clothing material to work all the way because they've been using it a lot because it looks fantastic, but it's really starting to impact the functionality of the figure. And, we want articulatable, posable figures as collectors, right? Otherwise, we'd buy statues. All right, guys, thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking out the video. Again, if helpful, any shopping you do through the links in the description below. Very much appreciated. Supports the channel at no cost to you. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.